She was just a small-town girl with dreams bigger than her reality. But when she crossed paths with the forgotten history of a cursed lake, her life spiraled into a living nightmare. What started as an ordinary trip turned into something no one could explain. Until now. Welcome to Velvet Shadows, where real horror finds a voice. If you love true horror stories based on chilling real events, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss what hides in the dark. Chapter 1: The Town That Forgot. Have you ever gone back to a place that used to feel like home, only to realize something has changed? Something you can't quite name, but your bones feel it long before your brain does. Her name was Emily Hart. 19 years old, smart, kind, just a little introverted and fresh off her first year of college. She came home to Dalton Ridge, a sleepy town nestled in the misty hills of Washington State, a place she hadn't stepped foot in for over a year. To outsiders, Dalton Ridge was charming. Old pine trees surrounded it like silent guardians, every street lined with crooked lampposts and rusted mailboxes. But to Emily, it was something else. Familiar, yet suffocating. She noticed it on her very first night back. The streets were quieter than she remembered. The neighbors she'd known her whole life barely made eye contact. Even the dogs didn't bark anymore. And the air, it had this weight to it, as if the town was holding its breath. Emily brushed it off as nerves. College had changed her. Maybe she was just seeing things differently now. But deep down, something in her gut whispered, this place forgot how to feel alive. The house she grew up in stood at the edge of the woods, its windows staring out at the dark like blank eyes. Her mother had kept it well, but it was cold now, hollow. Her childhood bedroom, once filled with posters and fairy lights, felt foreign. The silence in there wasn't peaceful. It was watching. That's when Emily found it. 3 nights in, while digging through old boxes in the attic, searching for a notebook or anything to keep her busy, she stumbled upon something unexpected. A weathered, dusty, leather-bound journal hidden beneath a pile of moth-eaten blankets. It was her grandmother's. Now, her grandmother had always been a bit different. People in town used to call her the seer. Said she spoke to spirits. Said she once predicted a boy's drowning 3 days before it happened. Emily had always thought it was just folklore, small-town gossip. But the journal, it was real. The pages were filled with strange symbols, ramblings about dark reflections and the hollow one. She flipped through them, her hands trembling with each page. One sketch stopped her cold. It was a drawing, a childlike, eerie scrawl of a girl standing at the edge of a lake. Her mouth was open wide as if screaming. Her eyes were completely black, written beneath it in faded ink, "The lake remembers what we forget." Emily slammed the book shut, her heart thudding in her chest. It was just an old woman's ramblings. Right. She tried to sleep that night, tried to shake the feeling that something had changed. But the shadows in the corner of her room felt thicker, like they had grown teeth. And for the first time in years, Emily didn't feel safe in her own home. Have you ever gone home and felt like something was watching you from the walls? If this story is already giving you chills, I want you to comment below. The lake remembers me. Because in Dalton Ridge, not everything that's buried stays forgotten. Chapter 2: The First Night at the Lake. It was supposed to be one last night of laughter, marshmallows by the fire, and childhood memories by the lake. But Emily didn't realize she wasn't going back to anything. She was walking into something that had been waiting for her. A week after finding her grandmother's journal, Emily decided to break free from the tension coiled in her chest. She called up her 2 closest friends, Jade and Kylie, girls who had shared sleepovers, first crushes, and schoolyard fights. The kind of friends who still knew your middle name even when you hadn't talked in months. They agreed to camp overnight at Black Hollow Lake, just like they used to. Now Black Hollow wasn't a popular spot anymore. No boats, no swimmers. The town quietly stopped promoting it years ago, after some kid went missing in the 80s. No one really talked about it. Just another forgotten corner of a forgotten place. But that night, the three girls huddled beneath the darkening sky, their tent pitched just 10 feet from the lake's glassy surface. The air smelled like pine sap and moss, and the only light came from their fire and a flickering lantern. Laughter danced with the flames. They told ghost stories, roasted marshmallows, and even tried to scare each other with cheap urban legends. Bloody Mary, the vanishing hitchhiker. Nothing stuck until around 2 a.m. The wind just stopped. No breeze, no rustling trees, and then something else stopped. The crickets, the frogs. The night itself seemed to hit mute. All three girls fell quiet. "Do you hear that?" Kylie asked. "I don't hear anything," Jade whispered. Then they did. Across the lake, from somewhere far but close enough to freeze the blood in their veins, came the faint sound of a girl humming. A soft, sad lullaby. No words. Just a melody, broken, warbled, like it was being hummed underwater. Kylie laughed nervously. Probably some weirdo on the other side of the lake. But Emily's face had gone pale. She knew that tune. She had heard it every night as a child. It was the same melody her grandmother would hum when she tucked her into bed. The same melody written, note for note, in the margins of that journal. She didn't say anything. She just stared into the dark, listening. They went quiet again. The humming faded. Eventually the girls fell asleep in the tent, all except Emily. She couldn't sleep. Her skin prickled, her mind spun. And then the dream came. Or was it a dream? She stood barefoot on the cold dock, her feet soaked. The lake was still, too still. A thick fog curled across its surface like fingers reaching. Then the girl emerged, white dress, soaked and clinging to her body, long black hair hiding her face. Her arms hung like dead branches at her sides. She rose slowly from the water without making a ripple, and then she lifted her head. Her eyes were bottomless, like two pits that had forgotten how to hold light. She raised one trembling hand and pointed directly at Emily. "I remember you," she whispered. "You left me here." Emily screamed. She sat up in her sleeping bag, drenched in sweat, gasping like she'd been underwater for hours. Her friends jolted awake. "What the hell, Em? Are you okay?" She lied, said it was just a nightmare, but her fingers were trembling, and on the side of her neck, just beneath her jawline, was a wet handprint. The lake doesn't forget, and it doesn't forgive. If this chapter gave you chills, comment below with the phrase, "She rose from the water," because this was only the beginning, and what Emily saw was not a dream. Like this video, subscribe to Velvet Shadows, and get ready, because what lies beneath Black Hollow Lake wants out. Chapter 3: The Return of the Drowned Girl. When you stare into still water long enough, it doesn't just reflect your face. It starts to reflect your fears. And sometimes, what stares back isn't you at all. Emily didn't speak of the dream the next morning. She didn't tell Jade or Kylie about the girl in the lake. She didn't mention the handprint on her neck. She just smiled and said she was tired. But something had changed. Her laughter didn't sound like hers anymore. Her eyes stayed distant even when someone spoke directly to her. And that journal, her grandmother's leather-bound relic, she couldn't stop reading it. Every page felt heavier. The spiral symbol, drawn over and over again in the margins, seemed to pull at her. It showed up in her sketches, her notes, even on the condensation in the bathroom mirror. But that was only the beginning. The first real incident came 3 days later. Emily was alone in her bedroom flipping through the journal when her phone, an old iPhone 7 she'd had for years, started glitching. The screen flickered. The camera randomly turned on by itself and faced the ceiling. Then, it started recording. No sound, just static and blackness. Then came the mirror. She looked up, and her reflection didn't look away fast enough. It was delayed by half a second, and when it did move, the smile it gave wasn't hers. It was wider, twisted, wrong. She screamed and ran out of the room, but when her mother came to see, the mirror was fine. The phone, completely normal. She tried to convince herself she was hallucinating. Maybe it was the stress. Maybe the dream still lingered in her subconscious. But that night, she saw it again. The footprints, starting from her open window, soaked and smeared in mud, leading across her bedroom floor. She didn't hear anyone enter. She didn't see anyone leave. But something had stood next to her bed while she slept. So she went back to the journal, looking for answers, looking for proof that she wasn't losing her mind. And she found it. Folded between 2 brittle pages was a newspaper clipping, yellowed with age. Dated July 25th, 1965. Local girl drowns in Black Hollow Lake. 8-year-old Lillian Crane vanishes, body never recovered. The photo was grainy, but unmistakable. A girl with thick black hair, wide eyes, and a crooked smile. She wore a white dress in the photo, the same white dress Emily had seen in the water. The same little girl who pointed at her in the dream. Emily's blood ran cold. She searched online archives, town records, anything. And that's when the horror grew teeth. Every 40 years, a girl went missing from Dalton Ridge, 1965, 2005. Each disappearance took place in the same week, mid-July. Each girl was last seen near Black Hollow Lake. None were ever found, and now, it was 2025. Emily checked the calendar. That night by the lake, that wasn't just a coincidence. It had been exactly 40 years since the last disappearance. She's not just seeing things, she's being chosen. The townsfolk knew more than they let on. Emily remembered how her neighbors avoided her eyes, how the dogs never barked, the way her mother flinched when she brought up the lake. They weren't afraid of legends. They were afraid of reminders, afraid that the Hollow One had returned. How many more girls will disappear before the town stops pretending it doesn't remember? If this chapter gave you chills, and you believe some things come back even after they drown, comment below the phrase, "She remembers me too." Let us know you're still watching, because in Dalton Ridge, the next girl could already be chosen. Like this video, subscribe to Velvet Shadows, and prepare yourself for the next chapter. The lake is not done. Chapter 4. Possession in the Pines. They say when a place holds grief long enough, it grows teeth. That it doesn't just remember pain, it collects it, stores it, and when it's full, it comes looking for someone to empty it into. Emily was unraveling. She no longer woke up as herself. Her mother said her sleep-talking had turned strange. Guttural sounds mixed with soft humming, the same lullaby from the lake, repeated backwards. Some nights, Emily would sleepwalk into the woods barefoot and return with dirt under her nails and scratches across her legs. Other nights, she stood motionless at the foot of her mother's bed, eyes open, whispering, "She says I can stay if I take her place." Her eyes weren't right anymore. They looked darker. Even her friends noticed. Jade had stopped answering her texts. Kylie unfollowed her on everything after receiving a voice note that didn't sound human. Just distorted breath and a child's giggle layered with static. Emily's reflection grew more violent too. One night while brushing her teeth, she looked up and saw herself smiling back with blood running down her chin. But when she blinked, just once, it was gone. Nothing. Just her pale face and hollow eyes staring back. She started drawing the spiral, everywhere, on the walls, on her arms. Once her mother caught her carving it into the wooden floor with a butter knife. Her eyes rolled back, mumbling, "She's underneath me, she never left." The turning point came the night she disappeared. Emily had become obsessed with finishing the journal. She believed the last entry held the answer to ending the curse. But the final page was missing, so she went back, to the lake, alone. She left just after midnight, her phone left behind, her boots by the front door. The last thing she took with her was her grandmother's journal, now bound shut with red string. Her mother found her room ice cold, the windows wide open. The trail she left was unnatural. Pine needles in a perfect spiral, leading directly into the woods. That night, Dalton Ridge lost power. Every house, every streetlight, dark. Only the lake remained lit, glowing faintly under a pale, blood-orange moon. Search dogs found her footprints at the edge of the dock. Her flashlight was still on, its beam aimed directly at the black water. But Emily was gone. 3 days passed, and then on the fourth morning she returned. Not through the forest, not from the road. Emily was found standing alone on the edge of an abandoned service road just outside town, soaked, muddy, barefoot, shivering. She was wearing a white hospital gown. In one hand she held the water-damaged journal, in the other, a small wooden music box, one that had never belonged to her. She didn't remember where she had been. She didn't remember how she got the box, but carved deep into her forearm, in fresh, raw skin, was the spiral. She was taken to the hospital. They tried to diagnose her, said it was trauma, stress, disassociation, but the staff started to talk. Nurses said she whispered in the hallway at night, speaking to someone who wasn't there. One guard quit after seeing her on the security monitor, crawling on the ceiling like a shadow. She left the hospital a year later, but she wasn't the same. Her eyes never blinked fully anymore. She wouldn't walk near mirrors. And some nights, she still hummed the lullaby. She came back, but part of her never left the water. If you believe some places possess people, not just their minds, but their souls, comment below the phrase, "The spiral is open." Let us know you're still watching. Let us know you remember. Like this video, subscribe to Velvet Shadows, and prepare yourself for the final chapter. Because the girl in the lake still isn't done. Chapter 5. The curse continues. Some stories don't end, they just slip beneath the surface, waiting to be remembered. Emily Hart never fully came back. She returned from the woods, but not from the lake. Her eyes never smiled again. Her voice carried a delay, like it was trying to catch up to something far away. She avoided cameras, avoided mirrors. She didn't speak of what happened, not to her mother, not to doctors, not even in therapy. But sometimes, in the dead of night, her neighbors would see her standing outside her bedroom window, barefoot in the frost, humming that same cursed lullaby. The town of Dalton Ridge pretended to move on. The lake was fenced off. The local paper published a vague report blaming mental distress and hallucination brought on by grief. But the townspeople knew better. They always knew. Emily wasn't the first. She wouldn't be the last. Local records reveal at least 3 unsolved disappearances linked to Black Hollow Lake, dating back to 1925. And still, no one dared speak its name aloud. They called it the forest water. The hollow, but never the lake, because the more you said it, the closer it came. After Emily's return, strange things began happening around town again. Children waking up with mud on their sheets, parents hearing laughter through baby monitors, only to find their children staring into corners. One girl, just 8 years old, drew spirals on every wall in her house. When asked why, she simply said, "She's teaching me." By the time school resumed that fall, Emily had vanished from town. No goodbyes, no trail. She was just gone. Some say her mother took her away in the night. Others claim they saw her walking into the woods alone, barefoot again, wearing that same white dress she was found in. But if you visit Dalton Ridge today, if you walk far enough through the pine trees and follow the fog to the water's edge, you might still find her there, standing, waiting. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the water humming. The spiral will be drawn in the dirt, and you'll feel it. That pressure in your chest, that silent question in your bones. What did the lake take from me? And when will it come to collect? Because the curse didn't die with Emily. It didn't begin with her either. It's older than the town, older than memory. It's still alive. And in 2045, when 40 more years have passed, the Hollow One will rise again. She always does. Some spirits don't rest. Some lakes don't forget. If you've watched this far, if your heart is pounding and your screen feels colder than it should, comment below the phrase, "She's still in the water." Let me know that you remember her. Like this video, subscribe to Velvet Shadows and ring the bell. Because this isn't just a story, it's a warning. Stay away from the water, or she might choose you next.